Ah, Clarice. You know you can't have a sequel to Silence of the Lambs without Hannibal Lecter. Wait. Wait, I'm not in this? What the fuck's the point? Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the Super Not Funny Show Reviews. I am Mo Thépuppét, your friendly neighborhood fabricant and commenter extraordinaire on all things pop culture. Today, I'll be giving you my thoughts on the first episode of Clarice from CBS, streaming on CBS All Access and on the CBS network. Was it good? Was it bad? And should you be watching? Let's find out, because I have opinions. Episode 1 of Clarice, the pilot episode entitled The Silence is Over, because we have to reference Silence of the Lambs so you can know what this shit is all about. When your first assignment out of the academy, out of the gate, is your most important one, your biggest breakthrough, your claim to fame, but is also simultaneously the most damaging one, where do you go from there? How do you escape the shadow of that triumph and that trial? It's a question that Clarice and the show that's named for her must answer. Clarice takes place 1 year after the events of Silence of the Lamb, and it finds Clarice Starling, I guess a bit of a recluse, a wreck, if you will, just trying to figure out her emotional situation as the result of the ending of the Silence of the Lamb. Of course, if you watch the movie, where she, I guess she has to kill Buffalo Bill in order to save the girl. Well, Clarice, therefore, is a period piece taking place in the 90s, and it is a show that lives in the shadow of Hannibal Lecter, who figured very prominently in The Silence of the Lambs. But because of rights and all that fun stuff, his name can't be mentioned. Existence can't be acknowledged. So it has to tread very lightly around these things. So what we get is a show that's literally about Clarice Starling as she's thrust back into the limelight, thrust back into the field to deal with what looks like a serial killer. And she's put into this position by the mother of the woman she rescued, who is now the Attorney General of the United States. And she finds herself also under the direction on a team called VICAP, of someone who, let's just say, has no real reason to like her because she kind of made him look bad on the Buffalo Bill killings. And thus, she is put into a hostile work environment, and there is a show pony, if you will, there to, I guess, make hay off of the fact that she is known for having caught a serial killer, and sort of known, I guess she's given a reputation for no good reason as a serial killer catcher. So the first time there's a serial killer to make political hay, she's brought in, and would you like it if someone was just brought in for that sort of thing? But still, Clarice Starling is an investigator, a detective, if you will, a profiler, and she can't help but try to solve the case. So what we get, in a sense, is I would call a combination of an actual thriller sort of storytelling, and also, again, because this is CBS network presentation, it's in many ways a somewhat generic police procedural. And in that sense, the melding of the two is kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie, I like this episode. There is a lot of good. There's a lot of good storytelling here. There's a lot of good cinematography here, the good setup, but it's also juxtaposed to some very, very generic set pieces, very generic story narrative elements. Therein lies sort of the weirdness for me, because normally I'd bag on crap like that. But in this case, it all kind of works, especially as a pilot episode. Just the pilot episode has to give you a reason for being, right? And this reason for being here is that things aren't always what they seem. There's a larger thing going on. They throw in a conspiracy. It's just not all cut and dry. You expect, if this is about Clarice Starling, it's about serial killers, but they kind of swerve you on that a little bit. And I like that. It's interesting. Clarice is, pretty well realized, I think. She's pretty well realized as a character. She's unsure of herself. She's got PTSD. She wants to do a good job. She can't ignore the truth or evidence or anything like that. She's got a strong moral center, a moral code. She wants, because, look, she's a part of a police, I guess, apparatus, if you will. So she's used to going along to get along, right? And trying not to rock the boat. But when it comes down to it, she has her personal honor and her personal view about what should be done, how things should be done. And it's not necessarily going to match up with her superiors. And so they're setting up that kind of conflict. There's a lot of setting up of the rest of the season. And it's all interesting. There's unfortunately, there's not enough other characters really shown up. Just one character really gets shown. So again, as a pilot episode, so there's a bit of a cast roll call so you can know who's who and maybe how they're going to figure in later on. But what this episode does do well, besides establish a central mystery and conclude the mystery of the episode itself very satisfactorily, but it also shows Clarice her initial victory over Buffalo Bill is not, in fact, a fluke. She is the real deal. She's got instincts and she's got a good detective mind. She's logical. All these things. She is a good protagonist for this show simply because she's going to get out there and get the work done. There's also, again, hints at, hostility and difficulty she's going to have with her superiors, and she's not towing the company line. So cool. There's plenty there to draw on. The fact that the way they present this is, as I say, in some ways very generic and a little by the numbers, but it's to be expected from a network property. This is not, let's call it what it is. This may be, quote, prestige TV, but it's prestige TV in the way that a big network is going to present it. So that it plays a little safe, and it draws from stuff like NCIS and so forth. As a person that doesn't really watch such things, I like it. It's good. It's good in the way that a safe thing that you can watch and you'll be like, okay, that's entertaining. I want to watch more. And if I have to admit it, relative to other CBS properties I've sort of taken a look at, network properties I've taken a look at pilots, this one stands out. It clearly they put real money into it. They care about it. And I believe that it indicates the way they're going to treat the rest of the episodes. That said, I think you should check it out. It's a good episode. I'm at least on board for a few episodes to see where this is going, and I think you can be too. So that's my non-spoiler outlook, my non-spoiler review of the first episode of Clarice, entitled The Silence Over, from CBS All Access. Did you like my review? If you did, let me know down in the comments, or you can hit a like down on the like button down below, or you can shoot me an email, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, or on Twitter at supernotfunnys1. I'd love to hear from you. That's all from my spoiler-free thoughts. So if you don't want to be spoiled, get on out of here, and we'll see you next time. They all gone? All right, stop. It's spoiler time. Now, it's the first episode, not a huge amount of spoilers to be had here. So I'll just give you some of my, spoiler, I guess, impressions. I wonder about this whole PTSD angle. Clearly she has it, and why is she even being allowed out into the field? Is it really that easy to just be like, man, fuck what the psychiatrist says? She can get out there and catch that serial killer. Again, there's going to be an adversarial relationship. I wonder about the head of ICAP. I know he doesn't like her for professional reasons, but can he get over that? Because, I mean, she broke the fucking case when they were like, man, fuck what you got to say. Go sit at your damn desk. Is he trying to undermine her? That's a good question there. Are they going to try to undermine her? She's a junior agent. Remember, she's a junior agent. She's young. And it's very easy in situations like this, hierarchies, to steamroll people who are young just because they're young, even if they do get results. By the same token, she's not going along to get along, so there's going to be a lot of friction. And we see early on where she's sort of like, I'm going to go along to get along, and says, oh, it's a serial killer. And because that's what the bosses want to hear because it's sensational. But she comes back to it and says, nah, that's not what the deal is. In the generic situation, the genericness of this, the whole bit about trying to sideline her and everything, would they stop doing that? It's become old at this point. It's not interesting. It's not really interesting at this point. It's just, and I feel like it's a real obstacle, but we all know that our hero's gonna get through it. There's no drama to it, to be honest. It's just like, oh no, they're gonna force her to leave the case, and of course she's not gonna fucking do it because reasons. I do wonder why the FBI that she's working with are so fucking bad at investigating. I mean, she's just like, well, this looks like a connection. Is there something wrong with this team where they can't make simple fucking connections like this? I mean, that's crazy. But I guess it's supposed to show that she's like really good. There is a little plot thread involving Catherine, who is the girl that she saved from Buffalo Bill. You'll remember, if it puts the lotion on its skin, that girl. And there's, is she going crazy? Is she going to be a weirdo serial killer or something? We don't know, but there's definitely a question about, two people with PTSD from the same thing and how instead of connecting, they're kind of far apart, and what's that going to mean? They use the conspiracy trope 2 times in a week on CBS. I wish they wouldn't do that shit. It's on Equalizer that, oh no, there's a conspiracy. On Clarice, there's a big conspiracy. The guy's like, you don't really want to know how far this goes. Whenever someone says that, you're like, oh, okay. Some rich white dude somewhere are doing some things and they're just trying to cover it up, and money and power. Come on. Like, as much as it's cool that it's not just some rando serial killer, it's just some rando sociopathic, corporation or person with a lot of money. I get it. Elon Musk is fun to be a bad guy. Yeah, I get that. Unfortunately, Elon Musk just isn't a fucking supervillain. It's not as interesting as like a Karl Blofeld or some shit like that. I think I said that name right. There was some good action and suspense in this episode. At that point, I do believe they are good at evoking the feel of Silence of the Lambs. They're going out of their way for this to really kind of evoke that 90s thriller serial killer aesthetic, and it works for me. I do find it interesting that maybe Clarice is actually is going to be growing in this not just this season, but in this episode, growing to realize that she's got the power of her notoriety and her visibility to maybe do things a little more on her own way, because her superiors kind of set her up to be able to be unimpeachable by them and by their recrimination or their retaliation. It'll be interesting to see if she takes that and runs with it. Well, we know because of the way the episode ended, where she was like, nah, it's not a serial killer. It's a conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. She didn't take their word for it that they're going to investigate it. But instead, she just put them out on Front Street on the news so they can't run away from it. So, of course, there's going to be hell to pay. And the conspiracy is going to be like, we got to watch this Clarice girl. Maybe we should send some people after her and all that stuff. Let's see if my predictions are true about that. I hope they don't fall in too much genericness there. But we shall see. So, anyway, those are my spoiler thoughts about Clarice. Episode 1, The Silence is Over. I do hope you enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments. Email at supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. And, of course, you can hit the like down below. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you can know when we drop new content. Thanks for joining me this week on this episode of the Super Not Funny Show reviews. All you Fabricans and Fleshbags, there will be more coming about Clarice, and I hope you join me then. Until then, see you on the other side of the thread. I've been Jen Thépuppét. Peace.